So I'm going to a prayer and then I want to... Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Who's our co-host today? I don't want to steal their thunder.
Radhe Radhe bhai. This is Shyam this side.
Okay.
I am your co-host.
All right, Radhe Radhe, Shyamji. Thank you.
Today we will discuss about 3D consciousness. We have been watching 3D movies. Today Nitin bhai will give us a brief stint on 3D consciousness. So let's start the session. We are on time before. Radhe Radhe.
Sure. Radhe Radhe. Thank you. Good morning, good evening, everyone. So after the wonderful session that we had yesterday, we'll hope to meet the baseline again today. So let's get the session underway. Good morning, good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome. Let me share my screen and we'll get started with our opening prayers. Able to see my screen? All good?
All good. Perfect.
Okay, we'll get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru, like we always do, from the first Jagat Guru, which is Lord Krishna himself. So let's get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening once again, everyone. So, Maharaji was so beautifully explained the meaning of this verse. We always hear that Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, but he explained it so beautifully. He said, we called Guru Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh because like Brahma, he imparts the knowledge, like Vishnu, he preserves it, and like Shiv, he destroys the ignorance. And that is why it is said, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. Anyways, let's get started. So we will repeat the shloka that we did yesterday. We left it at a very interesting juncture where we spoke about what is the technology and actually achieving the state that Lord Krishna is talking about. And also what is our true entitlement. What is our entitlement that we can stake a claim for once we meet the criteria that Lord Krishna has set up. Once we reach that stage, first of all, what is the technology? And secondly, what is it that we end up getting? How do we get that? So that is what we will continue with that today. So I'll recite the shloka and then you're welcome to follow along. Gat sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasaha yagyaya charata karma Samagram praviliyate. Right? We have any volunteers?
Radhe Radhe. Not yet. So let's start. Oh, Shirame ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Shramya.
Gasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha yajnaya charatah karma samagram praviliyate. Thank you.
Very nice, Shri Ramya. Radhe Radhe. Samji.
Samji, yeah.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha yajnaya charatah karma samagram praviliyate.
Very
Radhe
nice,
Radhe.
Samji. Lakshmi.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe everyone.
Lakshmi.
Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavasita chetasaha yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate.
Very nice.
Radhe,
Thank
Radhe.
you, Lakshmi ji. You're not traveling these days?
Yeah, I'm traveling.
Okay. All right. No worries. Good to see you always. Yes. Let's quickly take.
Dinesh ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे गत संगस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थित चेतसः यज्ञायाचरत कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते राधे राधे
Very nice, Dinesh ji. Radhe Radhe.
Akshita ji, Radhe Radhe.
Rakshita ji.
राधे राधे गतसङ्घस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानवस्थितचेतसः यज्ञयाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Very nice.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Akshita ji. All right. Maybe we can take 5 more hands. Quite a few hands are raised today. So let's take 5.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Sandhya.
गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Very nice, Sandhya. Radhe Radhe. All right. Let's quickly pick up a few more hands we can take.
Sumesh ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Ramesh
Sumesh
ji.
ji. Yeah.
राधे राधे एवरीवन
Radhe Radhe.
गत संगस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थित चेतसः यज्ञायाचरत कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते
Very nice,
Radhe Radhe.
Sumesh ji. Let's take a few new. I can see new hands. Give them a chance. Nikhil, please go ahead. You'll have to unmute yourself.
And Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnanavastita Chetasa Yajna Charata Karmaha Samagram Praviliyate.
Wonderful, Nikhil. You get the best debut award today. That was a good one. I know
Thank you.
it's your second session only, so very nice. Okay, so who do we have after a while today? Let's quickly Shruti. Let's take Shruti, and we can cover all. Let's quickly do that.
Shruti ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Nitin, Radhe Radhe Shamji. Gat sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasaha yajñāyācarata karma samgram praviliyate. Radhe Radhe.
Samagram Praviliyate. Very nice, Shruti. Thank you. Over to you, Shamji. You can call up the remaining participants.
Thank you. Rahul ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
राधे राधे हरे कृष्णा गत संगस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थित चेतसः यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Very nice, Rahul. Okay, I think we can quickly cover everyone. So
Yeah.
we can.
Sam ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe
Radhe Radhe. Gat Sangasya Muktasya Jnanashishta Chetasa Yajna Yachrat Karma Samagram Praviliyate. Radhe Radhe.
Full Samji, very nice. Okay, next one.
Riya ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे
Radhe Riya.
गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य ध्यानावस्थितचेतसः यज्ञायाचरत कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Wonderful.
राधे राधे.
Nice. Okay, let's take next last 4 hands. We can quickly cover. Couple of minutes.
राधे राधे
Venkat.
नितिन जी राधे
Radhe
राधे
Radhe.
श्याम जी गत संगस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थित चेतसः यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Wonderful, Venkatji. Very nice. Last 3.
Ragi ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे गत संगस्य मुक्तस्य ज्ञानावस्थित चेतसा यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Wonderful, very nice, Prabhuji. Okay.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Deepaji, Radhe Radhe.
Deepaji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavasthita chetasaha yajnaya charata karma samagram praviliyate.
Wonderful, Rupaji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, Medalji.
Radhe
Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe Nitinji, Radhe Radhe everybody. Gata sangasya muktasya jnanavastita chetasaha yajnaya charatah karma samagram praviliyate. Radhe Radhe.
I see one more hand. So Sandhya ji, real quick, let's go ahead.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Last one.
Gata sangasya muktasya gnanavastita chetasaha yajnayacharatah karma samagram praviliyate.
Very nice, very nice. So we covered more than 15 hands in 10 minutes today, which is pretty commendable. So very nice. It's very auspicious to recite Bhagavad Gita shloka, and I would strongly encourage newcomers to try it out. And when somebody else is reciting, you could recite it alongside as well. So the quick translation for this goes like: they are released from the bondage of material attachments, and their intellect is established in divine knowledge. Since they perform all actions as a sacrifice to God, they are freed from all karmic reactions. So this shloka, if you look at it, is nothing but a summary of previous 5 shlokas. We'll do a quick recap, and then 418 brought in the concept of akaram in action. Then obviously the question is, how can I not desire for self? Which Lord Krishna explained in 4.19 by purifying the intention. How? In the fire of knowledge. And then what happens when we purify our intention? Then when we are approaching it with a purified intention, which is basically as a service to Lord, then all the activities that we perform, they do not, basically there is no binding karma associated with it. Okay, it becomes a neutral karma, akaram at that point. And what happens to the actions? We are still performing actions with our body and our senses. What happens to those actions? So those actions, they get multiplied with 0. Nothing is counted. Like Arjun, he fought a war, he killed people. Nothing is counted at that point because you're doing it as a service to God. Then what quality enables such a karma? We spoke about that equipoise is something which is very dear to Lord Krishna. He's brought in this concept multiple places. Right? The equipoise, where we don't choose to ride emotions and maintain that steady state, is something that endears us to Lord Krishna. And we spoke about another concept, equipoise and vairagya. These 2 qualities are very, very important on the path of spirituality. And then last but not least, what is the key takeaway? Basically, end of the day, 423 is talking about understanding that soul is nothing but a servant of God, because it's a part of God. So the constitutional position of soul is that of a part of the whole. And it's in serving, it receives what it needs, with the analogy that hand-stomach kind of a relationship that we spoke about. So let's continue. And Chaitanya Charitamrita states beautifully, Jiver Swarup Hoye Krishna Nityadas. That is our identity. So as a part, when we serve the whole, we automatically get what we need as a consequence of serving the whole. Then we continued and we posed some questions on the job description part of it, right? What is truly our job description? Understand the true self, whether we are a soul or a body. That's a fundamental question in spirituality. That's how it starts. Right? When Arjun is lamenting, and in 2.7 he says, accept me as your shishya, the first lesson that Lord Krishna gives to Arjun is first understand who are you lamenting about. Who's going to get killed, right? Are you a soul or a body? What are you, right? So that is the first thing. Then obviously we need to understand our relationship with God. Are we God ourselves or are we part of God? A part of God is what our scriptures say. And then serving God with loving devotion, what technology would enable that is something we left it. We didn't have an in-depth discussion on it. And realizing our true potential is basically to claim our true inheritance. What our father is, it's like Dayab Haq, they call it, right? In Hindi, Dayab Haq, where it's a true entitlement. It's like the property of your father that you can stake a claim for. Now, the key thing here is the first very fundamental question that we talk about. It is something that It's not optional. Now, if you're born as a human, our scriptures say athato brahma jigyasa. That means the inquisition or the question or the query about who's the supreme subject matter Brahman, it's imperative or obligatory on us. Animals do not have that option. But as humans, Athato Brahma Jigyasa is something we need to have that spark, because God has given us intellect, and this basic fundamental question everybody has to seek as a human. Okay, so spirituality is not an optional thing, if you think about it, because we has made it as humans. This question has to be, we need to seek answer to this question, and that is the bare minimum expectation or a hygiene criteria of getting this human body. That's an expectation, right? It is said to much, to whom much is given, much is expected. So as a human, much is given to us already. The faculty to think, this body, and the ability to do purusharth, and all the abilities that God has endowed us with. This question has to be sought. It is a non-negotiable thing. Everybody has to seek that. If we don't seek it, we are wasting the life basically, and we are not doing ourselves a favor. When I say ourselves, means our true identity, soul. We are not doing a favor. So this question has to be sought regardless. Now we are lucky. We are having I build the platform, or God and Guru has enabled this for us, so that we are making an inquisition and also gaining knowledge about it. So it happens with a lot of factors converging, and obviously with God and Guru's grace. Not everybody has it, right? A mundane worldly life, you just lead that life and walk away one day without really achieving much. So these are the two things we are going to focus on today: the technology part of it, and that's where, just to spice it up a little, I said, okay, 3D. Now 3D stands for 3D, of course, right? D is the alphabet that I'm talking about. So let's look at these. What is these 3D consciousness, and why is it needed? It is a very important thing. These three things have to be inculcated on the path of spirituality in order to make a sustained and what do you call that, a steady and a sustainable progress around it. What are these? Let's get into that. All right. So to start off with, being dutiful. Being dutiful is very important, and that's a lesson that, after telling that you are a soul, Krishna starts by reminding Arjuna of his duty. And we also spoke about the concept of Falgu Vairagya, where you run away from your duties without truly being developed dispassion towards the world. So being dutiful is obligatory on us for whatever station of life or varnashram dharam we are in at this point. It has to be there. Until we have developed enough dispassion, the duties that we are supposed to discharge have to be performed. Second thing we spoke about was the vairagya, the detachment part of it. It is a very important thing to have. The problem happens where we start getting attached to the things around us. Now this question keeps popping up: if we are not attached to something, can't we do our, how can we perform to the best of our ability? It is actually doable. We have spoken about this concept multiple times. Like a surgeon is able to discharge his duty even though he's not attached. A nurse is able to discharge her duty even though she's not attached. And detachment is needed for us to have a better performance, right? If a cricketer, like yesterday we spoke about these two couple of examples, Tendulkar and Virat Kohli, if they're not detached to what's happening in their personal life, and they bring all of that in their head at the time of playing, they cannot really operate. So they have to put it aside, have some kind of a detachment at that moment to be able to perform effectively, right? We know the stories about Tendulkar. He scored a century the day after he lost his father. And Virat Kohli, he was riding a scooter when for a Ranji match when he got this news, and he continued to play that match, and he scored really well in that match, as an ode to his father at that point. And even otherwise, even in tennis or cricket, they say if you start getting too far ahead of you, where you have an attachment to the result, you lose it. In cricket, they tell you, coaches tell you that you don't remember the last ball. Okay, if it plays on your mind, there is a good chance you will get out. We just focus on the movement. So there is a little bit of dispassion or a detachment that is needed for us to perform properly as well. And the third most important thing is the devotional sentiment part of it. This is the third D. Now, can we be detached? Devotional aspect is actually, which is the powerhouse or the backbone, which is feeding the other two aspects as well. Can we be dutiful without being devotional? Yes, possibly we could be. You don't have to believe in God in order to perform your duties. A lot of people do that. They say that we are good people, we don't believe in God, but we will continue to perform our duties to the best of our ability. So you could strive to be dutiful without being devotional. Can we be detached? No, we cannot be. This detachment aspect will only come when your mind is attached to God. Somewhere it has to get attached. If it is not attached to God, your mind has no option but to keep it attached to the world itself. It cannot be in a hanging or a pending state at any point in time. So the devotion feeds not only your duty but also the detachment aspect of it. So this is the critical D part of it. It automatically takes care of other two. You cannot be devotional and at the same time not be dutiful. Somebody cannot claim, I'm just devotional, but then I'm going to neglect my family and other things. If you are in Karam Yoga, not the Karam Sannyas aspect of it, there is a good probability you will be more effective in managing your relations around as well, because you understand the big picture, the deeper principles around being devotional part of it, right? So it's not like you run away from your duty, and you have yukta vairagya, not a falgu vairagya where you are renouncing something on the outside. So you actually understand it. Detachment doesn't mean you run away from a responsibility. Detachment means you just understand it from a proper perspective, right? Every relation, whether it's your kid, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your parents, rather than your mind creating it as a make or break thing in your life, you just understand it. Everybody has their own journey. There's a sense of responsibility towards everyone, and at the same time we are all alone in our journey, and so are they. And when the time comes, we all have to move on. Nobody can hold anybody back, and nobody can accompany anybody. That's a fact of life. And it's our own journey, like a lone mountaineer we talk about. So these three Ds are important for us to continue practice. And if we are devotional, it is going to feed your other two aspects. We cannot be detached unless we are building attachment to God. If you get detached, you will get attached to something else in the world. All right, I don't love this person, but then you'll get attached to something else, or maybe some other object. So only when we become devotional, when we start harboring those sentiments or attachment towards God, that detachment, the true detachment, yukta vairagya that is needed, will start happening as a natural consequence of it. And the aspect of your duty will be more clear. It's very difficult to understand what is our duty in a given point in time, right? We rely on it through understanding scriptures through the guru or intuitively. The power of our intuition keeps on getting more and more harnessed as we continue to progress spiritually. Intuition plays a big role, right? Swamiji gives a very beautiful example in a lot of ways, right? Your intuition will tell you when you are being tested. Your intuition will tell you whether you are aligning your will to God or not. Your intuition will guide you. So your intuition part of it starts getting strengthened, because we have to rely on that. That's our best bet. Purity of intention is in our hand, but even after that, we are not sure about a lot of things, and that's where the intuition aspect keeps on getting strengthened as we become purer and purer and purer. And intuition is nothing but God actually inspiring you in a way, right? Because it's coming from your soul. And there was a quotation: intuition is God meeting himself, and coincidence is God choosing to remain anonymous. I like that quotation, so just came to my mind. So these are the three Ds we spoke about. Now let's move on. Story doesn't end here. Now, if you look at the first one, it's actually in 2.47. We have done that. Karmanyavadhikaraste. Right? God is asking you to perform, focus on the process and perform your duty. Ma Phalishu Kadachan is the detached aspect of it that Lord Krishna is talking about. And Nitya Abhiyuktanam 922 talks about Tesham Satata Yuktanam. Then he says that Yoga Kshemam Vyamyaham. So basically, Nitya Abhiyuktanam is like which is always associated with God. That is the aspirational or the ideal state that we need to aspire for. Even to Arjun, Lord Krishna said, Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmar Yuddhacha. So that is the ideal state, but we have to start taking baby steps towards it, where it's just like a stream of oil. When a stream of oil is falling, there is no break in between. And that is Nitya Abhyuktanam. That is the continuity without any breaks. So that consciousness we have to reach through practice detachment, as well as just following all these principles that we are talking about. So now let's look at it through an example. These are the three guys. They're all lifting stones. Okay, so this guy comes and inquires, hello there, what are you making? What are you doing basically? Now let's look at their responses. The first one says, I'm placing a brick, can't you see? Okay. The second one saying, I'm making a wall. The third one responds that I'm making a temple for Krishna. Okay. Now all three are doing the same act. Now in the first case, if you look at it, he's dutiful but not very thoughtful about the purpose, right? For him, it's just a job. See, this is something, it is a microcosm of our life. And I'll map it to when we get into our interactive activity, you'll see why. So just pay close attention to their responses after knowing that all three are doing the same act. So first one is saying, he's not really sure about the purpose and he's placing a brick. Can't you see that? It's a job he has to get done, and so he's doing it. The second one says that he's aware of the immediate purpose, but not the ultimate. So he doesn't have the big picture in mind, but he understands, something bigger is getting created, and that's where he's contributing towards. And the third one is dutiful as well as thoughtful of the immediate and ultimate purpose for what he's doing. So if you look at it, although they all look dutiful, but their awareness and consciousness is different. So this is an important concept, because God does not go by our physical acts. What we do from our body and our indriyas or senses is not something which gets counted. What the consciousness that we have for doing that act is what truly counts, right? We've spoken about this concept in action, in action, action, in action. The consciousness makes the entire difference. Why you are doing it? Okay, the same act. You could be doing it for yourself. You could be doing it for somebody else, or you could be doing it as a service to God. Act could be the same, and that makes the whole difference. So if you look at it, dutiful aspect is there for all, but still it has a difference around it. Let's continue. Now, 3 principles to claiming our true inheritance. That was the second question that we did not tackle. Now, these are the 3 principles. What are those 3 principles? Let's look at it. The first one is wait for God's grace. We cannot say that, I've been doing Radhe Radhe and Hare Krishna for now 10 years, and I don't see, anything special happening. On the contrary, I've been losing things in my life and things are just not working out the way I would have expected. So why is God not gracing me? There's something is not right. Either God is not there, okay, or maybe I wasted 10 years for. So people, when we start putting conditions to our bhakti, and we have a sense of entitlement for God's grace, that I have done it, that is not the right attitude. We have to wait. How much wait? God has not defined it. Okay, he only decides when it is an appropriate time, when the last fiber or the trace of selfishness or the impurity which is residing in us is taken away. That's when God can choose to grace us and reveal himself, or take away the wheel of Yogamaya and reveal himself. Okay, so we have to wait until then. Patiently, we have to wait. There was a guy who was doing bhakti, and finally, after so many years, God came in front of him. And when God came, he turned his face on the other side. It's like, I'm cutty with you. Okay, you made me wait so much. So then he asked, okay, why did you take so long? So God said, I was always there. Just look at this small pebble. Do you see that small black pebble? He said, yeah, I see that. He said, that is your papa's. It used to be a mountain, and now it has come to a manageable level. So you could actually see me. So I was always there. So the first principle is to wait. Okay. And wait patiently. So that is why Swamiji so beautifully says that let's make the journey so enjoyable that we really don't care about when we are going to get the final result. So we cannot say, now I have done so much, God, you have to come. Because if that was the case, then it becomes a price for seeing God or attracting His grace. If we say, let's say we have done 1,000 anushtans or million chantings or 1,000 years of tapasya and God has to come, that means it becomes the price tag of God's grace. And then you pay the price and you get this object of your desire, which is God. So God says that doesn't work that way because the grace is priceless. So the first thing is we have to wait. Continue following the process and then you wait, because God is more intimate than anybody else, and He knows, when the defects that have to be removed are completely removed. So God is called a divine sculpture. He works on us in His own ways. All right. The second one is, see, everything is moving around God here. So we define ourselves. We don't have an understanding. We know that theoretically, we know we are a soul, but then mind, body, and speech is what we use throughout the day, right? So that needs to be immersed in God, because if we have to reach that stage of Nitya Bhuktanam or Sarveshu Kaleshu, then obviously the process has to begin. And the faculties that we use throughout our day, which is our speech, our mind, and our body. Body, we can do seva. Mind, we can engage in good thoughts as a service to God. Karam Yoga is all about that. And speech is by glorifying Lord or talking about it or talking in Gita sessions, right? So all this stuff contributes toward that. We need to immerse that in God. Okay. That is the second part. These are the three principles. And the third one, it's a very important one. Okay. It will bring smiles to your face as well. So this is no complaints. Period. No complaints, no matter what. That is called Prasada Buddhi, and complaint is the most difficult one for us to get over with. This comes very naturally to us. No complaints means no complaints. And our mind has a tendency to find complaints. Right? This is not happening, that is not happening, war has broken out, my relatives are not fine, I've got this kind of parents, I got this kind of a environment, all that stuff. So that becomes a mindset. God says that, see, if you look at it technically, I'll tell you a joke or a story, maybe. Yeah, joke. So there was a guy who was, he called up somebody and he said, what happened? My uncle passed away and he left me a fortune of 1 million, but then he passed away. So the person who was listening said, yeah, I feel sorry for you, but you should at least be happy you got 1 million now. He said, no, but listen to me. I had another uncle, he also passed away and he left me 2 million. He said, okay, I'm sorry to hear that you lost your second uncle also, but now at least you have 3 million. They have left you a fortune to do with. He said, no, but then I have a third uncle also. He also left and he left me 3 million. So he said, then why are you unhappy? You have hit a jackpot, right? So much of money anyway, uncle left. So he left. What can he? But he said, then I have a complaint. I have a problem that I have no more uncles left, who can leave me an inheritance. So that is worrying this guy. So that is a mindset thing, right? So another one Swamiji's told us, Jake, was, this guy asked, what does your wife do? And he said, she's in a manufacturing business. So what does she manufacture? She manufactures worries. So we need to refrain from that kind of a mindset where we are complaining about things and finding problems for every solution. And the moment we do that, it's basically telling that, hey God, your plan that you thought for me, I don't think that was right one for me. What I thought was good for me was better. And that is essentially what complaint is. So if you think about it, God only he picks a drop from our Sanchit Karma and gives us the prarabdha, right? And he gives us the prarabdha, keeping in mind what is our resilience around it. You remember that question that was asked in a family camp by Mohit, I believe. How do we know we are being tested? So when God has given us the prarabdha, he also knows our abilities, how much we can take. He may push the envelope, but he'll not push it to an extent where it will break us. He may push it for our gain only. It's like the mother. If mother wields a stick at times to the kid, she doesn't become a bad mother. Right? Similarly, God has his ways of teaching us things. We are serving a grander purpose around it, right? The God, the idea behind it is not to make us stay comfortable, so then the version that we came to this earth with, we leave with the same version or even a worse version if our life is too comfortable. So he's going to chisel us along the way. The same story that Swamiji talks about, that marble, right? So marble is marble unless it becomes a nice, beautiful deity only after it gets chiseled. But then it gets chiseled to an extent that is well within its limits, maybe a little more, so that it can progress. And that is the only way to become beautiful. So the universe is like working like a sandpaper and chiseling us so that we become beautiful and better versions of ourselves. So the complaint aspect is something we have to do away with. If we don't do that, it is forfeiting an opportunity to basically to attract God's grace. Simply accept it. And if you tie it back to the concept, how will we get that ability? When we are actually stationing ourselves in the middle. When the things don't work out well, rather than going to the other extreme, we are equipoised. So these concepts, if you really think about it, they are all interrelated. The equipoise, the practice of equipoise is going to enable this ability as well, where we simply accept it. If you're not equipoised, if you get excited or you get sad, then how will you not complain? Of course you'll complain, because complain will precede that sadness. But if you're equipoised, you have already reasoned it in your head. You have already preempted it, that okay, I have firm faith in God that he's my well-wisher, and whatever is coming my way is for my betterment only. If we have that knowledge and we can activate it at the times when things are not going good, then it will really enable us to accept things stoically without getting excited either way. So no complaints is a very important principle. And that complaint should not be verbal. Within your mind also, you should be at peace. But first thing, we'll start by expressing that's okay, I'm okay, I'm all right. Maybe God has a plan. So it will start like that. But eventually we have to come to a stage where we simply believe it as well. Right? Where we are actually cool about it. So these are the three principles which will attract God's grace and take us closer to our true inheritance. And what is the true inheritance we are talking about here? What is our true inheritance? Let's look at our true inheritance. It's pretty nice, actually. Our true inheritance is unlimited Satchitanand. You will become Mala Mal, basically. Okay. That's it. We are a done deal. That is the prize that is waiting us. So Swamiji says that when you will get the prize, at that time you will say it was well worth the pain and the wait. That is how attractive this prize is. Just imagine alongside Krishna playing in Golok and being part of his eternal pastimes and have nothing to worry about. No exams, no diseases, no old age, having a divine body, upgraded stuff, and bliss which just keeps on increasing. I mean, that possibility is pretty amazing, right? Great price, actually. So it's worth the wait, and it's worth the pain, and it's worth the troubles that we have to take as part of this process. And that is how we need to motivate ourselves and inspire ourselves. End of the day, we have everything to gain as souls. These things that we look at as reversals and everything are very temporary and transient. We are not going anywhere. And we are in perfect time zone where we need to be. So everything in goal, we have laddus in both of our hands. And the fact that we have gotten this knowledge, and we're getting this knowledge, inspiration, and a great mentor and a guru, obviously now everything is. And I was telling you, right? Once you find a guru, the technology is to obviously do all these things, but finding a guru is an important thing. And once you find a guru, then you simply have to follow the principles that he's telling you. And that's it. And then now it becomes his problem to take you from point A to point B where you need to be. It becomes a very simplified process after that. But once we sort out the knowledge, once we get a proper Yogya Guru, then you just have to follow their injunctions and it becomes their trouble. It's like you had a big mountain on your head and you have just offloaded it. All right. My job is done. Now I just have to follow the instructions and everything will fall in place. That is how it goes. Now let's look at some practical aspects of it. Now that we have seen what is our true inheritance is, which is pretty lucrative. I think everybody of you would agree. So let's look at it, some practical aspects of it now, right? So if the same guy comes up and says, "What are you doing?" Okay, I'm working. Somebody may say I'm studying for an exam, right? Somebody may say I'm cooking. Somebody may say I'm taking care of the family. Okay, so now what is our purpose around each of one of these activities? This purpose is what Gita is making us aware of. And so that we can understand our so that is essentially what it is. So that's the tweak. That's all. Spirituality is all about making that tweak, and that's it. These are the kind of activities we do, right? So let's have a discussion around it. How can we fix our so that there? Because generally when we do it with a lack of purpose, right? Something immediately, sensory gratification. It's just like that guy who's lifting the glue. Can't you see what I'm doing? So you just need to add a little bit more deliberate thinking around it, tweak the purpose, and the job is done. So anybody who wants to take add in, chime in on what we just spoke about and discussed today.
Yeah,
and each one of the activities, what adjustment we can make actually. And see, act doesn't have to change drastically. It's not that Lord Krishna is saying change your life diametrically. Okay, move to South Pole or North Pole, nothing. Just a tweak in your thought process so that your mind starts getting cleansed and you start building the God consciousness and start gradually moving away from material consciousness. That is all he's saying. Okay, let's take, I can see a few hands, get the conversation going. Right, before we get that going, I wanted to let's make a quick announcements. One, you can fill up the feedback tracker, and then we have Jagat Gurutam Divas coming up, celebrations. We have a parenting course coming up as well. I'll let you, Shyamji, make the announcements, and then we'll get the discussion going.
Yeah, before that, Asha ji had added to 3Ds, 1S, that's the ability to smile. She says, do all those things with a smile. And then Radhe ji asks that how to make journey enjoyable. Radhe. I guess that you explain, make journey enjoyable.
Yeah, journey, it's a good question. How to make the journey enjoyable? Journey enjoyable, it's when we start aligning to these principles. These principles will not give us misery. It will give us peace of mind, something that you would have never experienced in your material world. By doing the potlucks, by meeting your friends, relatives, dancing to the parties, attending marriages, going to the rock concerts, having that great meal, nothing would be able to replicate the kind of peace and joy that will start flowing in. And get engaged in seva. That's it. These are the two only things. If you found a guru, you start doing the seva, aligning to these principles, doing satsangs, right? And then the joy would make every other thing irrelevant in your life. Obviously, testing would happen, but then you will be much better off than you would otherwise had been if you were just living with the material consciousness alone. I mean, that's at least how I understand it. If you'll ask me here in Dallas, I'm making a business case for all of you to move to Dallas. Okay, by the way. So our life is a festival. Okay, every second there's a festival. At times it's a lot of work, but end of the day, it gives you a lot of satisfaction because your mind gets productively engaged. Time, money, and water finds its own ways if you don't put a vessel to it. And Swamiji has enabled that vessel for us, which we are very grateful to him, for Swamiji and Maharaji, because otherwise this time would have gone into those unproductive activities. Time just finds its ways. Just everybody has 24 hours. And if we are able to put a vessel to it, it starts becoming enjoyable. That's a short answer to your long question, or probably the other way around. Yes, you wanted to make some announcements, Shyamji, before we get into quick discussion?
Yeah, we have, 1 second. The attendance tracker hasn't posted. Please feel free to give your suggestions, comments, feedback. And then Swamiji's US tour is already started. The Bay Area temple is being inaugurated on Monday, the July 4th. It's a week-long festival going on. So whoever is alongside Bay Area, please come and enjoy the festivities. And then we also have a cruise with Swamiji. It's a 1-day cruise. It's on uh, 16th July. Yeah, I'm sure. Am I right, Hidbhai? The cruise with Swamiji. It's a 1-day cruise.
There is a cruise, yeah. Dates you would know better because
It's on 16th of July. So that's a very wonderful way to meet Swamiji. 1 full day with him on the cruise, and you and Swamiji. That's it. Nobody else. So please come and join with Swamiji. As Nitinbhai said that he wants us to be to Dallas, so I am already jealous because it's already 1 year and I am only hearing about Dallas, Swamiji, all those things happening around that. So I do not know when and how, but one day I should be there. I will be there. That's for sure. So we also have the West Coast retreat coming up from July 29. It's a 3-day event in Fresno. And then we also have a parenting session, which is a 4 workshop series to help parents rediscover joy of parenting. It has 4 workshops, the videos, inspiring videos from Swamiji's, then parenting life hacks, topics to meditation, pranayam for mind management, and discussion. And it's in person on July 16th. It's a 3-day event. It's 4-day event. And it's also available online. So please come and join the event either in person or on online. I guess that's it. So we can take over the session.
Sure, you can post the links as well for people who are
Yeah, it's already posted in by. They're already there. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think that session is going to be hybrid. So do avail that.
Yeah. Parenting. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get the participants. I can see a few hands and get the discussion going.
Shiramya ji, please go ahead. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So I wanted to answer this question now. Like, what is the purpose? Like, I fall in the first category. I am working. So the immediate thing is, I have to pay the bills and I have to take care of the expenses and all, and that's why I am working. But over a period of time, it's like, I can help others with the pay I'm getting, and more than that, after a period of time, it has become more deeper. It became like maybe I can do some work which will impact the society. Like what I had in my mind was, okay, let's say something like making driving more safer on the roads or something. Then I was like, why not I take up some courses and do something which can go towards the goal. And it's a long term, and it's not like immediately satisfied, but there is like some purpose I see towards the work. But the immediate thing is to pay the bills and to take care of the expenses and all of that.
All right. I'll tell you a story. So there was a guy who wanted to marry a girl. So he goes to her father and he said that, no, I can't marry my girl off to you because you're not, you're not employed and you're not adequately educated. So this guy goes and said, okay, I'm going to complete this study, this particular course and get employed. And he starts working hard for it. Now, as he's working hard, you think his focus is that job that he's doing. Obviously, he's working hard, he's passing exams and thinking about, or his goal is that girl. So, Lakshata Vachata, it's just a means for something bigger that he wants in life. So similarly, we can build that consciousness in everything that we are doing, actually, to for whom we are doing it. What is the ultimate objective of this activity that I'm trying to do, right? I'm doing my job because I have to meet ends so that at least I can carry out my devotion without having to worry about food, clothing, and shelter. I can do well at my job so that I can support the causes as well. Everything actually we can start building that consciousness gradually, as opposed to thinking, okay, now I'm working so that I can enjoy my next cruise, or I'm going to get the next best car in the market, that is going to come out. So that bhog thing, you start moving it towards yoga, and that will start building that consciousness automatically. So yeah, very nice. Thank you, Shri Ramya ji. Let's hear from the other participants.
Bhai, you are too good. You have the examples ready. It just shows how well versed you are with all the situations in life.
See, I can talk because I hear so much from Swamiji, right? But
No, but moment is so apt, na? The way you give us the analogy examples, they're apt to the situations. Perfect. Thank you so much.
I'm glad it flows in at the right time. I'm also sailing in the same boat as you are. Okay, so we are like all kind of at the same place. But I'm glad at least some of the examples come theoretically. At least I'm able to say things. Okay, which helps it for sure. All right. So
And one more request to the participant: please put the cameras on when you talk to Nitin Bhai. He can feel better and he will feel more motivated to talk to you guys. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
I'm extremely motivated regardless. But yeah, it'll be nice if you can.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe.
I'm used to seeing one or two faces. Now I'm seeing more than half a dozen, at times 10 also. So
It's good for you, no? It's good for you. You are progressing with us.
for sure. And thank you, Sham Bhaiji, for keeping on reiterating this message. And thank you for every one of you, Sandhya ji, Rahul, Shefali, Sandhya, and yourself. You're always, Sam ji is always there, and Ashutosh ji, there you see answer. So thank you for turning on your camera. It always helps. You know,
This is
get
what
a,
we can do
get
for you.
a sense whether what you're communicating, how it is being received, just to get a bit of a sense, right? If somebody is getting bored, I can try to get more of Swamiji's jokes, right? So it gives me a bit of an idea. So
It's our bit to help you to do our seva on our part. Just a small bit from our side. I'm sure we all do that.
thank you, Shyamji. You are always kind and generous to me. That is what I see. So
Yeah. Radhe ji is saying, I am able to build a consciousness to work for the good of society and do good for people. How can I relate it with God? Like, how is working for society working for God?
it is. So you can say God, rather than saying I'm working for the society and I'm doing a great job, you can thank God for that. That God, thank you for choosing me as an instrument and giving me the capacity to help your people. So again, you express gratitude. Not everybody gets an opportunity to serve people. The fact that he has given you the inspiration and the ability, you need to express gratitude for that. That will do two things. One, you have diverted your consciousness from something which is sat to shuddha sattva, and secondly, you have already addressed that pride, that would silent pride that will come in, where you are quietly patting your back and saying, hey, good job, you've been helping people. So both things will be addressed in one shot.
Shri Ramya ji is saying, Bhai, Manav Seva hi Madhav Seva. So isn't serving society not same as serving God?
Jan Seva is not God Seva. Okay. Jan Seva, with the consciousness that God has given you the ability to help them, is actually attaching your mind to God. Jan Seva and God Seva are not the same. Act could be the same, but in one case, if you are simply helping people, thinking you are doing it without bringing God into the mix, it is purely a good karma that will take you to Swarg. But if you are doing it by bringing God into the mix, thanking Him, expressing gratitude, and understanding that you are merely an instrument, then it will take you closer to God realization. That's the difference. Same act, tweak in consciousness. You don't want to go to.
Shri Ramya ji says, perfect answer. Thank you.
We don't want to go to Swarg, okay? So Swargvasi, let's put a big cross to that next time you see that.
Yeah. Sandhya ji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I mean, you have said it all. I just wanted to reiterate this point only, that so that I can please my Lord, my soulmate. So eventually, ultimately, that is, and you know, as you said, that by keeping our material body intact and going, we can involve ourselves in a much better way in our devotional practices. So that being the ultimate sort of.
Very true. And no complaint.
Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
The other Nitinji had sent a message. He said that your presentations are very creative, so that we can find our so that. And I completely agree with that. Like through the presentations and classes, we have been able to identify what is our so that. So yeah.
Yeah. So that, what is our so that? So that is very important to know, very true. Right? Even in complaint, it is said, Meri chahi na karo, main मूर्ख अज्ञान. मेरी चाही मैं रहूं, इसी में मेरा कल्याण. So the worst thing that God can do to us is by agreeing to all the desires that we make. We are on a suicidal mission. Okay, we will destroy ourselves. That is the kind of desires we make. So the fact that God doesn't listen to our desires is actually a blessing for us. If He were to listen to all of our desires, we would be like that kid in a jewelry store who would keep on eating candies there only. Okay, so God has a better plan for us. We need to have a firm faith in that. He's chiseling us for a good reason, and everything is preordained. And He's decided our prarabdha, so He knows what our capabilities are. Trust Him on that. He's not out being there as a father who's going to knock you off. He's just going to make you rise. So that is the whole idea. Okay, let's hear.
Ashutosh ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Thank you, Samji. So actually, when you are talking about detachment and attachment, we cannot be detached without devotional. So Maharaj Ji has written in his Bhakti Satak 2 lines. जग विराग हुई तितुनुई जितुनुई हरि अनुराग राधे राधे हुई है तब अनुराग जब गुरु चरणन मन लाग राधे राधे जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे. Maharaj Ji has written beautifully, means we can attach our mind towards God that much only when we are attached to this world.
Very true.
Thank you, Samji, for giving opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Ashutosh ji, we want you to say one shatak every day. It makes, I guess, all of our day. It's so pleasing to say you sing for us. Thank you so much, always.
Says that with so much of bhakti bhaga, Ashutosh ji. Very nice. Ashutosh ji has become a walking and singing bhakti shatak these days. So very
Nothing like that.
very, very nice. It's always a
Thank you
pleasure
so
to
much.
do. And you do it with so much of devotion. So you can sense that. Very nice. Thank you, Ashutosh ji.
Shri Ramya ji, can you please go ahead? Or you done?
Oh,
Shri
sorry,
Ramya ji? Yeah.
I forgot to look in my hand. I'm done with my question. But one request, that bhajan which Ashutosh ji sang, if that can be posted over chat, it will be helpful for all, I think. Thank you.
I think it will be an extreme pleasure of Ashutosh ji to do that. So
I'll request him to do that. So yeah.
Ashutosh ji, your commitment is locked now.
We have a new hand, I guess, after a long. Anita ji, Radhe Radhe, Anita ji.
Radhe Radhe. I just want to say that Rumi has said that yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I want to change myself. So everybody sees the world and always want to change other person. They don't see them, so they don't see that they need to change and turn their face towards Sanmukh, towards God. We are Vimukh already from so millions of births. So that is the thing. And Swamiji is teaching all of us how to be Sanmukh towards God. And I have a question for this parenting class. Is there any special classes for ADHD kids so they can also attend? Is there something like that?
I wouldn't know that. I'll get more specifics around it. I don't think it's tied to a particular demographics at this point, but I'll definitely check it out and let you know on that.
Okay, that would be a great help. Thank you so much. One of my friends' kid, he's an ADHD. Okay. So I thought it may help him in certain ways. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Anita ji. Beautiful point. Yeah, change. I know it's a trajectory that everybody follows in their life, right? When they're out of the college, it's like they are going to set the world on fire. Okay, so many changes they are going to bring. and the enthusiasm that they have is almost like they are going to cause a dent in the universe. As they start growing up, start hitting their 35s, 40s, then they start training their attention towards their family and near and dear ones. And only, people who get the wisdom and come in contact with guru or wise people, or get some scriptural awakening, then they start understanding that actually this whole change has to start from within only, your own self only. Changing the world is an after thing. The best bet is to first change yourself, and some people may get influenced. But if you simply keep on talking about changing things around and finding problems around, it's not going to take us very far. Okay, let's take.
But how did you know this story? This is my story. I never shared with you. How would you come to know about this?
This is a trajectory, typical trajectory, Shamji. I mean, I see a lot of my cousins just walking out of the college, so I can write their story. Okay, now they are in this stage, now they're in this stage. This happens. This is the story of all of our lives.
True that, yeah. That's how we all behave.
Very few people are fortunate enough to have that wisdom, right? At the beginning, maybe because of their past sanskars or strong scriptural base that they have required, that they are sorted out. Otherwise, it's a normal trajectory for everybody. It's like, I'm going to change the world and this and that. And over time, you start understanding, only if you had focused on yourself and changed, it would have made a lot of difference. So
that makes more sense. Easy also. The easiest past. Anyways.
Piece by piece, we can bring in global peace. So if everybody fixes themselves, the world will automatically get fixed.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very simple process. So that is why spiritual science is the most important thing. And you start thinking and worrying about the problems and so many things, but we have really not understood this bigger principle that you got to fix yourself. Right? The change has to come from within. So,
good, I came to you. So now I'm on the rocket speed.
Swamiji, Maharajji, they have graced you, trust me. Now, everybody who's come here is very lucky from that sense, because what the knowledge that we have access to is not something normal. It is like a big deal. Trust me. And if you have actually done some spiritual knowledge shopping, then you will be able to appreciate it. I have done that. So I'm telling you, what you are getting is the best knowledge on this planet, in this Brahmand. Trust me. And Maharajji used to say, when he would give lectures, Brahaspati Saraswati would come and sit and listen to that. So there's nothing more to be known after this. Okay, we are also students, but at least the basic concepts, this kind of a knowledge you will not get anywhere. That is,
I know that. Yeah. That's why I come daily with my camera on. I miss anything. Neither I miss anything nor I miss anything I see. So I make sure I'm there day in, day out.
Yeah. All and I hope we are evolving as well. So that guru.
I hope so too. My only have a doubt. I am unable to find a guru. I do not know. I try at times hard, but I guess it has yet to come to me.
It is said that when the disciple is ready, the master will appear. Okay, so that is the rule.
I'm good. So I'm still not ready. You mean to say? That's not good.
Possible. So, but yeah, we don't have to. We see, one of the traits of devotees is they are asha bandhan. Then they have a lot of optimism. Everything will happen. So we cannot be despondent on this path ever. We have to be optimist, super optimist. So much of optimism that we will extract milk out of the rock. Okay, that is what is needed. So you'll get guru and everything, and it will just fall in place. You'll say, yeah, this is what I needed to hear. So it will happen. Don't worry.
Thank you so much. Swati ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I would like to add one point, because everything is already being told by other members, and even Nitin ji had explained. But what happened, earlier when I was doing any work, family, taking care of family, or doing work outside, going in, if you feel like bored, or you don't man nahi kar raha hai karne ka, then you do it like for the sake of just doing for the that karna hai to kar diya. But now what happens, whenever I do the work, even if I don't like it or I don't want to do it, but I keep in the mind, no, this God has given me this work. I am doing it for him. And then I do it with the full enthusiasm, and I like, बहुत भगवान का काम करना है तो अच्छा ही करना है, best करना है. So that comes in me, and then that bore or I don't feel like doing, that part goes away. And then I do it with my full effort. That difference I'm finding in myself.
Very true.
Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
That's a great thing. I think that is the Gopi Bhav, right? When they used to work, it's like, okay, Krishna can come any moment. Would we like to see the house in a tardy state and this kind of thing, right? Even when, let's say, a governor or a chief minister or a prime minister is coming to our house, we will be like extra super cautious about it. Best to best has to happen. Now, if you're able to build consciousness that the president of this Brahmand Nayak is coming, and he will see, obviously, it'll bring out the best in ourselves. Right? We will always put up our best version around that, but that's a deeper consciousness to have. Great point, though, Swati. Yes, Ramji.
Ramji, Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Everyone said everything about this question, but just wanted to confirm that one so that we can understand our true position as servant to God, or what is the actual answer?
Believe it or not, like it or not, we are the servants of God.
Yeah. Yes. Is that what the answer is?
For which one?
So that
it's basically how can we direct it towards God? How can we direct it for His pleasure, right? End of the day, it's not about me. It's for His pleasure. So if I'm a good, whatever skill I have, if I'm able to put it to good use, and then the back of my mind, it's not for my own self, right? Not for my own self, for my own or to enjoy it, so that the God is pleased. If I'm actually discharging it to the best of my ability, God will be pleased. So that becomes for the pleasure of God.
Pleasure. Okay.
Not my own pleasure or some accomplishment that I'm doing with my own pride. That's it. That is the tweak that is needed.
Okay.
And if you look at the human history as well, some of the biggest architectural wonders, some of the biggest music compositions, they have happened when you have attached it or directed it towards God. Right? Even the Vatican and the Roman architectural, if you look at it, it is inspired by the tenets of Christianity where they do it for God, right? And the classical music, if you look at it, same thing, the story of Hare Ravidas Guru, right? When Akbar went to him and the way he sang, he said, Tansen, why don't you sing like that? The Tansen said, that's because I sing for the Emperor of India, Bharatvarsh, and my Guru, he sings for the Emperor of this world. So it cannot be apple to apple comparison. So when we direct it towards God, it naturally brings out the best in us. And God will obviously give us that push. When we do it for people, we will still be capped, right? We will not get that. But when you do it for the love of God, then it's like sky is the limit there, even in the realizing the true potential that you have from that sense. यश आशा जी, आपके मुखारविंद से हम आपके विचार सुनना पसंद करेंगे.
आशा जी, राधे राधे.
राधे राधे नितिन जी एंड श्याम जी. मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि जो अभी रूमी का जो कोटेशन किसी ने कहा वो चैट में देखना चाहूंगी, या और आपने जो नितिन जी पहले एक सेंटेंस कहा था तो वो जल्दी में मैं ठीक से नहीं सुन पाई. अगर हो सके तो चैट में या किसी तरह दिखा दीजिए नेक्स्ट सेशन में भी. और दूसरी बात ये कि अभी किसी ने कहा कि जन सेवा करती हूँ, तो वो हम ये भक्ति में ये करना चाहते हैं कि हर एक में हम ईश्वर को देखना चाहते हैं. तो जिनकी भी वो सेवा जो कर रहे हैं ऐसे सोसाइटी की, तो वो प्रभु सेवा क्यों नहीं हुई? और अगर वो मन से भक्ति से अनुसंधान से ये करे, जैसे कि आपने कहा कि ये सब मैं कर रही हूँ तो गॉड की प्लेजर के लिए कर रही हूँ, तो वो हमारे में जैसे आपने कहा जन सेवा वो प्रभु सेवा, किसी ने और ने भी कहा. तो ये मुझे प्रश्न हो रहा है, तो आप
ईश्वर के साथ अनुसंधान जैसे आपने कहा, अगर वो है तो जन सेवा ही ईश्वर सेवा है, बिल्कुल. बट अगर प्योर जन सेवा अगर हम कर रहे हैं बिना ईश्वर को लाए, तब वो जन सेवा है. वो एक सात्विक सेवा है, वो शुद्ध सत्व सेवा है.
सत्व गुण. ओके
अनिवार्य है इस पूरे प्रक्रिया में, ईश्वर को लाना अनिवार्य है.
हाँ बिल्कुल, मन का अनुसंधान जो पहली शर्त है वो होनी चाहिए. और जैसे कि अर्जुन ने कहा कि मैं कृष्ण ने कहा कि आप कर्मयोग से युद्ध करो मगर अनुसंधान और समर्पण ईश्वर के प्रति रखो.
Exactly.
अच्छा, ओके ओके, दैट्स नाइस एक्सप्लेनेशन.
ईश्वर को इस पूरे इक्वेशन में ईश्वर को लाना जरूरी है. If we don't bring God into the mix, then we are operating in Maya only. At best, we can do a good act, but we cannot transcend goodness, and goodness is also binding. That is
वो निष्काम नहीं रह जाता, क्योंकि वो हमारे सेटिस्फेक्शन के लिए होता है, जो कि मैं अच्छा कर रहा हूँ, और उसमें प्राइड भी आने की पॉसिबिलिटी.
प्राइड आएगा, सूक्ष्म
अहंकार, सूक्ष्म अहंकार, वो तो बहुत मुश्किल से जाने का नाम लेता है. तो ये बहुत अवेयरनेस जरूरी है. थैंक यू सो मच.
धन्यवाद. Yes, Annapurna ji.
We have a comment. Can you read, please, if you say so?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
No, comment. Can you read the comment first? The comment in the chat box.
Anji, yeah, you can
see the comment first. Lakshmi ji is saying, nowadays I started saying thanks for God for every work I am doing. Like this work is allotted to me by you, so I do. Once I complete the work, again thanking God.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, we need to create triggers for ourselves to remember God as much as we can and as frequently as we can. That is the whole idea, right? JK radio I was talking about, you can set reminders there. Anything, we can set up our own reminders to remember every 15 minutes, 30 minutes, just a silent thing that he's my witness and he's my protector, and that consciousness has to deepen over time. That's the whole idea.
Yeah. Annapurna ji?
Yes.
Please go ahead. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can I? Yeah, have you unmuted me?
Yes, I have. I can hear you also. Please go ahead.
Yeah, yes. I just want to say how we can connect it, because that God has given that consciousness in us, that is divinity. That's what making us to, helping us to do all other worldly things, so that way also we can connect, and because of him, we are alive. We could do all this, if we think that we are soul, because of, we are fragment of him, because of that because of consciousness, we could do all these worldly, taking care of children, doing jana seva and all those things. First thing we have to thank him, and because of him, we are able to do it, to make him happy,
Yes.
Because of the consciousness that he has given. Because once it is taken out, you cannot do anything.
Very true.
So everything is because of that consciousness. That's why I look at people, it has become like that, so many people driving, doing things, and I wonder, all these souls, they have, they're involved in the family things because of the consciousness given by God, that's why they are able to do all the things that they're doing, thinking that we are only doing. But once you know that consciousness is the one that is making you to do that, then every minute you can think and thank him, for giving one more day of you to do things to come closer to him,
Beautiful point.
his heart, something.
Great point. Yeah, he's the one who's making our body run when we are sleeping. So otherwise we have no idea who we are at that point, and when we wake up, the whole world comes alive. Okay, we can maybe take two more hands. I have a hard stop at 10:30. I have another call. So Ankurji, I see.
Ankurji, yeah, Radhe, yeah. Please go ahead.
Radhe. Just a few minutes back, when Ashaji was having conversation with you, so you were saying that pride would come. So, of course, we would dedicate our work or whatever we are doing for the love of God. So, even if in case that time some sort of a pride is coming, how do we, detach ourselves from that pride? Or maybe, I just had that question.
So, yeah, we have to beat it with knowledge. It's like this. I think we did a session on this doership and non-doership part of it. So if okay, I'll give you a couple of examples. So tongs, we know, right? Tongs we use in the kitchen.
Yeah.
If you use that tong and to pick up something, so is the tong doing the work or your hand is doing the work? Your hand,
Hand
right?
is.
So tong is taking credit for that. So I'll tell you a joke. So there was a herd of elephants. Okay, they were trying to cross a bridge. Okay, and though that they crossed the bridge, and there were some flies sitting on their ears. And when they crossed the bridge really shook, up and down. And when they crossed it, the fly told the other fly, "Boy, didn't we shake it?" So the point is, that is our state. If God does not give us the energy, we cannot do anything. He gives us energy, he makes us the instrument, and he gives us the inspiration as well. So give the credit where it truly belongs. When we have that understanding and that knowledge, that pride, we can beat that pride. That will still come because our mind is habituated to thinking it this way. But with proper knowledge, we start beating it time and until it becomes our practice, because it's not me. If God takes away his energy, we don't have any existence. He's giving us the energy. He's giving us the ability to help people. He's inspiring us to help them, right? So we simply express our gratitude and give credit where it's due, as opposed to taking the credit, I am so and so. So just remind yourself of that fly who was sitting on that elephant and thought, we shook that bridge. Actually, it was elephant who did that, right? So
आप ये कह रहे हैं कि हम चीटी भर है नितिन भाई?
We are nothing basically. Actually, being humble is not even a virtue, I would say. We have made it a virtue because we have come so far away from it. We simply have to accept who we are, and it will automatically bring in humility.
True.
Right? Who is God? Who are we? But then God has actually given us an ability. We spoke about the law of infinite potential. We spoke about the fact that God is one who is great and who can make others great. We can become like him. That much potential he has given us, and he's willing to give all that to us. Provided we truly are situated where we are, right? We are pure and we accept the way we are. So that is the whole thing. Our pride, our ego, and the imperfections that we have acquired, the whole Charso BC stuff that we do is keeping us away from it. The day that whole thing is taken care of, God is like, all right, take everything.
दिक्कत ये नहीं कि हम समझते कि हम कर लेंगे. दिक्कत हमारे में है. हम समझते कि हम भगवान हैं, हम जो चाहे कर लेंगे. But the moment you realize that हम कुछ भी नहीं है, तब तक it's too late. बस सारा खेल ही समझ का है दिन भाई.
That is why it's a process. It's a process, and when we come in contact with the Yogya Guru, he will start removing all those impurities in you. He will first show you the mirror, and then layer by layer he'll start peeling those dust that is there on your piled up on us. So that is why we need a guru. We cannot do it on our own. It's not a self-effort thing. The Bhagavad Gita, our scriptures, Bhagavatam, everybody says you approach a master, Shroti Brahmanist, and then Pranipath basically, and surrender your intellect to him, and then the process will begin, and then it becomes his job. He will remove all the dirt because they have the technology. They know the ways to do that, right? Like a good teacher knows how to make you understand a concept. Guru knows what is the dirt, what is the obstacle you have, and how to remove it. This is the process basically.
Yeah, they say the guru will find you. So जैसे मैं तो घर ही बैठा हूँ, मैं कहीं जा नहीं रहा, तो how will the guru come to know?
It will happen.
He has to choose me.
It will happen. Okay, you will be sitting in your room and he'll fall in your lap. Okay, trust me, that is how it works. So
Thank you. Okay.
It will happen.
Yeah.
God is very smart from that sense. He's not made it an unfair game. He's
I know
made
that,
it a very fair game. Okay, so there are enough masters out there based on what you are ready for, and they will find their way to you. You will find
I know it has to happen. It has to happen. This is the time I'm waiting for.
It will happen. It has to happen. No other way.
It has to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Rupa ji, Radhe Radhe.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes.
Radhe Radhe everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Actually, I mean, in this one and a half months, actually recently, as I said to Nitin ji, I joined a job as a school teacher. But some days in the starting days, I felt because after a long break, I'm working. I just sometimes just said, Krishna, now you have shown me a path. I don't know whether I'll sustain this job or not. Even give me the physical strength to go through this job. I want to do this. Now it's in your hands. Just take care of your or take care of this human who is willing to do this, and I need your help. That's it. Whenever I say that, that's just happening to me, that I'm getting my strength back because I work as a primary teacher. I have to stand all the day, and maybe after 8 or 10 years, I'm working again. That really felt very difficult for me to pay for that many hours, but now I'm, by God's grace, I'm doing good, better. And also nowadays, prior I was attending Bhagavad Gita classes and all, but I never ever said like, Krishna, this is your work, you do it. Now this is not mine. But after joining here, which worked for me, and nowadays whenever I even open the gas stove also, I'm saying, Krishna, whatever today I'm cooking, that's for you. Whatever I'm doing, that's for you. And things are just happening like that. And thank God to Nitinji and also the Maharajji, like everyone. But I don't know what change has bring me. I am surprised to myself saying all this. Krishna, do it. This is your work, okay? This is your life. And I started saying that unknowingly, but things
Wonderful.
are working. I'm feeling better.
Rupaji, that's a great realization. And I think we all need to practice it and get better at it, because Krishna is more than happy to take our burden and our worries. But the problem is we still want to keep it in our head. So what you're practicing is really nice. And God says, just give all your troubles to me and just leave everything to me. And if you can practice, this is the whole practice of spirituality. So you have taken that step. And I'm glad you're sharing your realization. It'll give a lot of inspiration to others as well. It's like that woman who used to visit Thakurji's mandir every evening after cutting the woods. And one day she could not visit. And what happened when she was carrying this whole load? It fell down. So Thakurji thought, she has not visited me, let me go and help her. So Krishna comes and help her. And he said, okay, what can I do for you? She says, can you please help me put this load back on my head? So this is who we are. We want to carry our own load. Krishna says, give it to me. So that is the whole process of becoming anyonyashrit, completely dependent on him. And if we can become a done deal, basically, but it takes a while because we don't have that faith. We become insecure. And so, but what you're doing is really great. And you see, your realizations will back up what you are experiencing. So thank you for sharing that, Rupaji. Wonderful. So Nitin, talking to Nitin, and then quickly Samji, and then we will call it off. Like I said, I had a hard stop at 10:30. I had a call. So let's quickly, Nitinji, please go ahead.
Thank you. I think I'm in Mumbai and it is raining quite heavily. I don't know whether you can hear some noise around. Actually, I stood up here. मैं यहाँ इसके लिए हूँ क्योंकि सर आपको थैंक यू कहना था. मैं आज आपको इतने क्लोजली देख रहा था. हर क्वेश्चन का आंसर आपके पास होता है और इतने अच्छे एग्जाम्पल के साथ जो अभी आपने कहा. जब एक शिक्षक खड़ा होता है तो उसके सामने गुरु आ ही जाता है. और मैं बहुत लकी समझता हूँ कि हालांकि मेरा भी लॉ लेक्चर्स 1 घंटे के लिए नहीं है आफ्टर माय योग एंड इमीडिएटली आई कैन अटेंड. तो मेरी बहुत इच्छा रहती थी कि मैं अटेंड करूँ, तो हो जाता है, वो अलाइन हो जाता है. और सही में सर मैं आपको कल आपने जो मुझे श्लोक सिखाया मैंने अपने मोबाइल के डिस्प्ले पर ही रखा. नहीं, मुझे ये याद करना है. मैं माया में जाता हूँ तो मैं भूल जाता हूँ. तो मैं अपने आप को ही मैं सिखा रहा हूँ, नहीं ये मुझे याद करना है. नहीं तो वंस आई एम इन माया में भूल जाता हूँ. बट सर आपका सिखाने का स्टाइल, आप जिस वे से एग्जाम्पल्स देते हो, कहीं ना कहीं ये परावाणी आपके थ्रू बात करती है, ये गुरु आपके थ्रू ही बात करते हैं. बहुत अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि इतना सब कुछ आना ये कोई सामान्य चीज नहीं है. तो मैं ये मानता हूँ कि यहाँ सरस्वती जी, ब्रह्मा जी, सब लोग यहाँ बैठे और ये बहुत अथांग और बहुत बड़ा ब्रह्मांड का ज्ञान है जो हमें मिल रहा है. और मैं बहुत बारीकी से आपको सुनता हूँ और मैं देखता हूँ आप कितने अच्छे से सबके क्वेश्चन सुनते हैं और प्रॉपर उसका मंथन करके आप आंसर देते हो. बहुत बड़ी सर बात है. मैं आपसे सीखता हूँ. मेरे अंदर इतने सारे दुर्गुण है, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. क्या पता मेरे कौन से भाग्य है कि मैं यहाँ रोज आ सकता हूँ. सो थैंक यू.
आपके भाव जो हैं बहुत हुए हैं, बट मैं वही कहता हूँ कि क्रेडिट मैं नहीं ले सकता. ये वैसी बात है जिससे अंकुर जी पूछ रहे थे. तो इफ आई टेक क्रेडिट आई विल बी स्टीलिंग, टू बी ऑनेस्ट. ओके, इट्स ऑल स्वामी जी. सारा उनका थॉट, मटेरियल, इंस्पिरेशन, philosophy from Maharaj ji. So I am just a messenger time and again. But yes, I feel fortunate and privileged ki I'm becoming an instrument in something very, very auspicious. To that end, I feel fortunate and I thank and I express gratitude. Plus the fact that, see, you turn up, you participate, and so many participants, they come in and bring in their experience. That makes it a very enriching discussion. और अच्छा है, सबके लिए अच्छा चल रहा है, एंड आई होप इट कंटिन्यूज टू गेट बेटर विद टाइम. सो थैंक यू सो
Sir, a
मच.
small difference you have said, मानव सेवा and जन सेवा. कभी सोचा नहीं था that intention, that भाव matters a lot. और जैसे आपने कहा था ना, वो पकड़ का भी एग्जाम्पल कि पानी उठाते गरम वाला, हमें लगता है हमने किया, या फ्लाइज का एग्जाम्पल आपने एलिफेंट का दिया, जो सही बात है. कभी सोचते नहीं है उसके ऊपर, कभी चिंतन नहीं करते, बट इतने सहज वे से आप कह जाते हो कि वो दिल को छू जाता है और लगता है हाँ यही सही है. कभी सोचा नहीं था. सो बहुत बहुत अच्छा लगता है एक्चुअली. ऐसा दिन की शुरुआत होती है ना कभी भी, तो इतना अच्छा लगता है कि अरे हाँ, यहाँ ये करना चाहिए, ये बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. बहुत अच्छा लगता है. माई रिक्वेस्ट इज दैट सर, वॉट एवर नॉलेज यू आर इम्पार्टिंग, आई फील दैट लेट दिस नॉलेज गेट टू एवरीबडी इन ऑल द लैंग्वेजेस. क्योंकि कभी कभी सब कम्युनिकेशन ही प्रॉब्लम हो जाता है. हो सकता है भाषा एक बैरियर हो सकती है, बट जो ज्ञान सर मिलता है, मेरी इच्छा है सबको ये ज्ञान मिले. बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा. थैंक यू सर.
धन्यवाद.
नितिन भाई आपके लिए काम बढ़ गया है एक और. अब आपको सीखना पड़ेगा गुजराती, मराठी, फ्रेंच, रशियन. आई डो नॉट नो आप कैसे कर पाएंगे, बट प्लीज ट्राई एंड डू दैट ऑल्सो. वो जो आपका बड़प्पन है जो ऐसी बातें करते हैं आप, वो देखिए पहले मैं था और भी लोग थे, अब आपकी कतार बढ़ती जा रही है. आपके क्या बोलते हैं, आपके फैंस की फॉलोइंग.
श्याम
एक और कायल हो गया आपके भाई, आज एक और गया.
नहीं श्याम जी, नितिन नितिन जी, आपको अच्छा लगा है सुन के, मुझे अच्छा लगा. बट मैं आपको बार बार वही बताता हूँ कि गुरु की कृपा के बिना ना कुछ नहीं हो सकता. दैट shloka I keep on saying and I believe it. I'm not saying it for the sake of it. Trust me, that is a fact. आपको कभी एक्सपीरियंस करना हो ना ये कि अरे मैं ही बोल रहा था, मैं ही कर रहा हूँ, आप एक सेवा पकड़िए और आके बैठ जाइए और फिर देखिए क्या होता है, कमाल होना शुरू हो जाएगा. तो ये फैक्ट है. गुरु, अगर आप काम कर रहे हो तो गुरु विल हेल्प यू इन ऑल द पॉसिबल वेज. बट इट इज वेरी रीअश्योरिंग and good to know that, you know, the whole objective of starting these sessions that Swamiji had envisioned, right, that is happening, and in a way that is benefiting. So that itself is very heartening, and that gives you more motivation to work harder and make it more, even more beneficial for all. So that is there. And thank you Nitin ji, आपके भाव बहुत वो है, which I can understand. But like I said, you have to always think about who's the source, where it is truly coming from, right? And I cannot take credit for something that doesn't come from me. इतना विजडम हम में नहीं है, तो स्वामी जी का सुन सुन के हम रिले कर देते हैं. यही हमारा सौभाग्य है कि हम बात कर पाते हैं. बट थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दैट, एंड प्लीज कीप कमिंग एंड गेट योर फ्रेंड्स एंड फैमिली एज वेल. I know we have something special going on, and I hope it continues for as long as we possibly can, and the pleasure is entirely mine. Thank you so much. All right, last one, Sam ji.
Please go ahead.
Jan Seva is still not clear. In Maharajji's talks, I think I heard once that the path also matters, the people whom we serve, and it gives back us the reactions depending upon the path. So even if we do in Sattva Gun, it will give us painful reactions, right? And even if we do in Shuddha Sattva, it might give us, and because we have grown above dualities, we may not bother about those reactions. Is that right?
We'll discuss more in detail. Yes, but you're right. Sattvagun will take us to heavenly abodes. It is a meritorious deed that you are accruing. At best, it will take you to, it's a good thing when you do Jan Seva, when you help people, when you do charity. It's a good thing that you are doing. But then you are not truly attaching it to God. You are still taking the credit for that. God gives you credit in form of a better life, more opulent life, more luxuries, more opportunities for bhog. And that is temporary. You're still in 8.4 million. And that is why it said that being good is not good enough. You need to transcend goodness also. Maharaj Ji even said, Paap or Punya dono paap hai. Even Punya is paap. Why? Because it is binding. Only when you're doing it as a service to God, that is non-binding. Everything else is binding, and that becomes pap in that sense. So we can continue, Samji, on this discussion. I know it's a little late. We can do our closing prayers and continue our discussion tomorrow, where we will get a little more deeper into this concept of seeing God around, all around. So thank you again for a wonderful session and engaging discussion. Let's do our closing prayers, and Samji, we can connect offline as well in case you had some more question around it. Okay, let's do our, who's going to do the closing prayers today? Who's going to do the honors today? Sandhya.
Sandhya ji.
First one. Yes, Sandhya, go ahead.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe, and have a wonderful day, great rest of your evening, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Good night.
Radhe Radhe, everybody.
Radhe Radhe.
See you tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.